Hello students. Program Bachelor of Arts, 3rd year, subject Psychology, semester 5, paper code PSD 104, paper title Criminal Psychology. Myself Madhuri Marathe, Assistant Professor, MES College of Arts and Commerce, Zuarinagar. Title of the unit is Understanding Crime and Criminal Psychology. Module which we are going to cover now is Developmental Approaches to Crime. In this particular module, we are going to look at developmental approach, social learning theory and developmental criminology. At the end of this module, you will be able to explain social learning theory in relation to criminal behavior and cite important findings in developmental criminology. To start with, we have a question. Are criminals born or made? Meaning, is it because of the genetic makeup that individuals behave as criminals or they engage in criminal activities, or because of the social experiences they have, it makes them to indulge into criminal activities? What do you think is the answer? Is it genetics which are responsible to make a criminal, or environmental factors make a criminal? None. Scholars will never agree to any one side because it is widely recognized that human development is shaped by complex interaction of genetic and environmental factors. Developmental approaches to understanding crime focus on how specific developmental trajectories such as bio, psycho and social and cultural factors can influence criminal behavior. When we are looking at developmental approaches to criminal behavior, we have particularly two ideas. One, social learning theory, and second, developmental criminology. Let us first look into social learning theory. The idea that much of human behavior is largely the product of social learning, including aggression and violence, is widely accepted. It is also accepted in the field of social sciences. Within psychology, we have work of Albert Bandura talking about this idea prominently. You would have read about Albert Bandura's experiment of Bobo doll. In criminology, we have Ronald Acquers talking about social learning theory. Although these approaches differ, the core set of fundamental assumptions are the same. 1. Human behavior is largely the product of learning. 2. Individuals learn both through their own experiences with the world and also through observing others or imitating others, which is called as vicarious learning. And also, behavior depends upon the outcome of that behavior and the status of the model or observed individual. Here, if the outcome of this particular act is positive, that behavior is most likely to get repeated by the observer. And if the status of the model is similar to that of the individual who is observing this particular situation, or it is slightly higher, the act is most likely going to get imitated by the observer. Earlier, social learning theory focused more on behavior per se. But if you see the recent development, they emphasize on individuals learning values, attitudes, beliefs, scripts and other such cognitions. This particular social learning theory is used in developmental criminology and criminal psychology to understand diverse range of crime from domestic violence to terrorism. Looking at the idea of developmental criminology, according to Farrington, development and life course criminology is concerned mainly with three topics. 1. The development of offending and antisocial behavior from mother's womb to the tomb, that is, from mother's womb to the death. 2. The influence of risk and protective factors at different ages. At different ages, an individual goes through different risk factors For example, at puberty or at adolescence, we know that adolescents fall prey to peer pressure. That is one of the risk factors. Thirdly, the effects of life events on the course of development. If we have any child abuse or any traumatic experience in the childhood, it might affect the course of development in the future. Developmental theories of crime, therefore, are concerned very broadly with how criminal behavior relates to developmental processes. Research has focused on the relationship between normal developmental processes such as puberty and antisocial behavior, as well as how specific developmental experiences such as child abuse impact criminal offending. Life experiences during the adult years also impacts criminal behavior, although much research has been conducted on life experiences during the childhood. Here are some important findings listed by Farrington's. 1. Offending peaks during the late adolescence, that is between the age 15 to 19. Second, individuals who begin offending at an early age commit more offences and have a longer offending career, meaning individuals who get into offending at an early age, they tend to continue in the same career for a longer time. Thirdly, there is considerable continuity in antisocial and criminal behavior across lifespan. 4. A relatively small number of individuals are responsible for majority of the crime. 5. Offenders tend to be criminally versatile and commit a wide variety of different types of offences, meaning an individual who commits petty theft may in the future get involved into robbery. 6. Adolescent offenders tend to commit crimes with others, whereas adults tend to offend alone. Here if we can see, if the individual starts committing offences at an early age such as adolescence, initially they would start working in groups, and later as they get proficient in this particular career, they would try to offend alone. 7. Important risk factors for offending relate to individual characteristics and family, school and community environments. So, risk factors are associated with socialization agents we have already studied in our previous classes. 8. Employment, marriage and having children are some of the key life events that are related to desistance from offending. For example, if an individual is offending for basic necessities and to fulfill his basic financial needs, if this particular individual finds an employment, he is more likely to desist from crime in the future. Lastly, as people age, they are on average less likely to commit crime. There could be various reasons for this particular research finding. One of them could be physical inability as the person grows older. To conclude, developmental approaches to understanding criminal behavior are interdisciplinary. We have interaction of genetics and social experiences, because human development is a biosocial phenomenon. Developmental approaches to criminology often draw on explanations from several different levels of analysis. Developmental approach is salient in explaining individual differences because it accounts for differences in criminal propensity, that is tendencies, and which results from different developmental experiences. And secondly, it also accounts for variations in offending across time and space, as sometimes some individuals are exposed to similar or same developmental environments, but they tend to engage in criminal activities differently, or they do not engage at all. Lastly, because of all these reasons, developmental approach is known to have a prominent role in social crime prevention initiatives. To read more further on this particular topic, you may refer to Russell and Dorrance, An Introduction to Criminal Psychology, 2nd edition. Publication is British Library publication. Thank you.